How does Buddhism illuminate the path to transcendence? It can be succinctly summarized as act without attachment or prejudice. It is vital to understand that Buddhism does emphasize the significance of action, so it's important not to misconstrue its teachings. Buddhism teachings tell us that the world is empty, right? That form is synonymous with emptiness, and emptiness is synonymous with form. Form pertains to the realm of phenomena, and the world is merely a manifestation of it. Does this imply that pursuing form is futile? Absolutely not. If that were the case, Buddhism would be advocating for self-destruction, which is not true. So, what principle does Buddhism propose regarding our actions? It encourages us to act without attachment or prejudice. How should we interpret this? Buddhism teaches us that while engagement in actions is necessary in life, we should approach them with a mind free from attachment, considering there is always an origin for our actions, but we may not know it. There are significant differences between individuals. The things General Secretary Xi Jinping does, I, Wang Defeng, cannot do. If I still don't understand this truth, it would be unfortunate. In my mind, I'm thinking, let me give it a try. Oh, if I were to take on this task, maybe I would do better than you. If I, Wang Defeng, continue to think this way, then I am totally unrealistic. What tasks do I undertake? I eat to sustain myself, and as a teacher, I consume chalk dust. This is what I do. Inviting General Secretary Xi Jinping to Fudan University to become a philosophy professor, that is not his role. Even being General Secretary is not a result of his personal choice. Similarly, being a university professor is not a result of my own choice either, it has its origins. Each of us has a background when we come into this world. Is there a significant difference among sentient beings? Sometimes I think about trying my hand at being an hourly worker, and it may be a romantic notion. But it's not possible for me to do it, you know. I shouldn't be proud of it either because I am not qualified to do it. My background determines that I cannot work as an hourly laborer. What can I do then? I can earn a living, but certainly not by being General Secretary. How does Buddhism explain it? Look at how different we all are. I can't be the CEO of a big company, that's for sure. If I'm still thinking I should have started my own business earlier, who knows, maybe I'd be on the list of China's richest folks as Wang Defeng. If I'm still thinking that way now, how unrealistic would I be? When we're born, we all bring something with us. Don't think we're just these little blobs of flesh without anything else. Nah, we come with baggage. It's not something our parents or upbringing give us. It's something we've picked up from our previous trips to this world. Don't think this is our first rodeo. We've been here many times before. Can you believe it? Wang Defeng is really getting into the whole superstition thing. Honestly, I believe it too. You might ask, if you, Wang Defeng, believe in this, can you still call yourself a philosophy teacher? Aren't you talking about superstition? Well, I can't prove this scientifically. It's beyond the realm of scientific thinking. We have to understand it based on our own intuition, you know? Let's take an example. Imagine if we had the chance to meet Mao Zedong's parents and ask them, did you give birth to Mao Zedong? At first, they might want to say yes, but then they wouldn't dare. Mao Zedong was their firstborn, that's for sure. They named him Shi Sanyasi, a nickname for their own son. Shi Sanyasi is definitely their biological child. But later on, during an entire era named after their son, the Mao Zedong era, right? Can they claim that Mao Zedong was solely their creation? They couldn't even dream of it. No matter how much they dreamt, they could never have imagined that their son's name would be used to define an entire era. Can his parents say that this Mao Zedong, the one associated with that era, was their doing? When Mao Zedong came into this world, he brought his karma with him, just like every other person, including myself, Wang Defeng, entering this world with our own karma. You're asking for scientific evidence? Well, sorry to burst your bubble, but there ain't any. It all boils down to how you see things. When Mao Zedong was born, his dad was thrilled to bits. In a farming community, having a son is a big deal. So his dad had high hopes for him, wanting him to carry on the family legacy. What did Mao Zedong's dad do for a living? Besides farming, he also hustled in rice trading and made a decent living. So, during the early years of liberation, when they were sorting out family backgrounds, they found out that Mao Zedong came from a well-off peasant family. But later, some people heard this and said, no way. Chairman Mao couldn't have come from a well-off peasant family. He must have come from a poor peasant family. When Chairman Mao caught wind of this, he said, let's stick to the facts. A well-off peasant is still a well-off peasant. And you know what? During busy farming seasons, they even hired workers to help with harvesting, which is a clear sign of being well-off. So how did they become well-off peasants? It wasn't just from farming, but also from successful rice trading. Mao Zedong's dad, Mao Shunsheng, had one big hope for his son, to be even more successful in rice trading than he was. That's what he wished for. So they sent Mao Zedong to school to learn how to read. Mao Zedong's dad could read, but not perfectly. There was a time when he messed up his accounts and lost a lot of money, and it left a deep impression on him. Now that his son was around, he wanted him to become fully literate and even better at keeping accounts than himself. Little did he know that after learning to read, his son wouldn't just handle accounts but would realize that the fate of the world rested on his shoulders. They call it taking the world as one's responsibility. Did his parents teach him this? Nope. Was it the environment he grew up in, like Shaoshan village in Xiangtan, that shaped him? Many kids in Shaoshan village had similar backgrounds, went to school, and learned to read there. But only Mao Zedong felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. What do you think about all this? Mao Zedong was this huge figure, and here I am, Wang Defeng, feeling pretty insignificant. But hey, even though I may be small, I still brought something with me. Yeah, it might be tiny, but later on, I figured out what it was. In 1978, I took the college entrance exam. They had just brought it back in 1977, and I joined in the second round. At that time, I was working as a laborer in Shanghai, doing my thing in a state-owned company under public ownership. People thought it was a great job, you know? And hey, I wasn't one of those sent-down youth sent off to the countryside. Nah, I had to break free from the rural areas just to take the exam. But I was determined to go for it, and my dad had my back. It's all about that pursuit of progress, that constant hunger for knowledge and self-improvement. Gotta support that, right? But here's the thing, when it came to choosing my college major, I went all out and picked philosophy as my top choice. So my dad sits me down and goes, going for the college entrance exam and all is great, but why in the world did you choose philosophy as your major? Let me tell you, philosophy is all about abstract stuff. Haven't you heard the saying, study math, physics, and chemistry, and you can conquer the world? You should go for something practical, so you'll have skills and know-how for the future. But no, you just had to go for the most abstract field of study. And you know what I said in response? I told him, I just really dig abstract knowledge, the more abstract, the better. I'm afraid it won't be abstract enough for me. I was like, why go for philosophy? It's all empty, and when things get empty, they get real challenging. If we ain't gonna study, then why bother at all? But if we choose to study, let's go for the tough stuff, right? No point in dabbling in subjects like economics or sociology, which are kinda easier, huh? Skip those. When I crack open a philosophy book and find myself understanding only 1 out of 10 sentences, it's a major blow to my intellect, man. That's why I want to study philosophy. And then my old man, seeing that I was already a grown-up kid, just shrugged and said, "It's your call, buddy." He let it slide. At that time, I thought I was the one making the decision, but later I realized it was all part of my destiny, my karma. I'm chasing after that empty yet profound field of knowledge, man. That's just how it's meant to be. Then, something else went down. In the mid-80s, I bounced back to Fudan after working at the translation publishing house. But here's the kicker, I was broke as a joke and sick as a dog with hepatitis A. Yeah, 88 was the year of the hepatitis A craze, and I proudly joined the club. So, I decided to pursue my post-grad degree without any financial support. I already had a kid to take care of, and in the midst of poverty and illness, one of my college buds gave me a ring. Turns out, he had made it big with a successful business in Shenzhen and wanted to open a branch in Shanghai. He was all like, "Come join me, man." I thought about it for a couple of hours and then said, "Nah, not my thing." I knew I had some brains and a bit of guts, so I could have made that branch work and avoid any major screw-ups. But it just didn't excite me. After all the hustle, I finally made it back to the philosophy department at Fudan University to study that empty field of knowledge. And now, after finding that emptiness, you want me to go do something else? Hell no. I made up my mind to stick with my post-grad studies and dive deeper into that empty yet profound realm of knowledge. Back then, I thought it was my own call, but now I see it was all part of my karma. Why the hell did the desire to study such an empty subject pop up in my heart, in the heart of Wang Defeng? Did I conjure up that desire myself? Everyone, wrap your heads around this logic. It ain't about whether we go for this desire or that desire, that's not the point. The real deal is that we all have certain desires, and it's not in our hands to decide them. Once a desire shows up, we can decide how to go after it. We got some freedom there. Now, as for which desires sneak into our hearts, we got no control over that, they just show up out of nowhere. That's why we each carry our own karma. The stuff I can handle, you might not be able to, and vice versa. I can't do what President Xi does, and he can't do what I do. Our karmic situations are different. It's crucial to get this truth. So, what does it mean to do stuff? According to Buddhist teachings, when we come into this world, we gotta do stuff. Why? Because doing stuff helps us shake off that bad karma. Since we're stuck with our karmic baggage, there's no way around it. So, we might as well do it right. Doing stuff is all about clearing out our bad karma. Since the whole purpose of doing stuff is to clear out our bad karma, we are not looking for results. It's even better if there are no results. We don't care about the outcome when we're doing stuff. It's best if there are no results. But what if there are results? It's highly likely that your old karma is not all sorted out, and new karma gets thrown into the mix. But can you really do something without any results? Buddhism recognizes this reality. Every action brings results. However, what truly matters is that these results are not about you. They are not the new karma you're creating. That's why it's called doing something but detached from the outcome. Focus on putting in your best effort and accepting whatever results arise. Don't get it twisted and think that doing something with detachment means we shouldn't be serious about it. That is not the case. We should definitely approach tasks with sincerity, but we shouldn't get too caught up in the end result. That's what it means to do something without clinging. Don't let the results consume your mind. Why? Because doing things is all about clearing away our karmic obstacles. Later on, I privately compared myself to Mao Zedong, and I gotta say, I felt pretty relieved. The karma I need to clear is way smaller than his. His burden was so huge that he couldn't clear it in his whole lifetime. Even in his later years, when he was seriously ill, there was one thing weighing heavily on Mao Zedong's mind. What was it? Who could be his successor and prevent China from going down the capitalist path? He made a bunch of choices. First, he went with Liu Shaoqi, but later he realized it was a mistake. He thought Liu Shaoqi would lead China straight into capitalism. So, they kicked off the Cultural Revolution to get rid of Liu Shaoqi. Then he turned to Lin Biao, but soon realized that Lin Biao wasn't the socialist champion he thought he was. Lin Biao even tried to run away. So, who else was there to choose? Wang Hongwen. Turns out, Wang Hongwen couldn't handle the job either. That's when Mao Zedong turned to Deng Xiaoping, brought him back, and gave him a top position. But there was one condition: could Deng Xiaoping lead the drafting of a resolution on the Cultural Revolution and give an official verdict like 70% achievements, 30% mistakes? The decision was already made. Deng Xiaoping said no. He said, "I got thrown out during the early days of the Cultural Revolution. I don't know what's been going on. I've been living in my own little world, oblivious to everything happening around me." Well, he rejected it. Mao Zedong saw through the talk about never revisiting the past. So, he searched for someone else. And who did he end up with? Hua Guofeng. What he didn't expect was that shortly after his own death, Hua Guofeng, the one he had chosen, would go ahead and arrest his wife. In his later years, Mao Zedong was actually pretty miserable. He was really sick, laying on his deathbed, and didn't have any close family around him. Then one day, his oldest daughter, Li Min, finally got permission to visit him. When Mao Zedong saw his daughter approaching, the daughter he had with He Zizhen, he grabbed her hand and tears welled into his eyes. He asked, "Why did it take you so long to come and see me?" Li Min told him, "You've set the bar too high now, Dad. I can't meet your expectations." Let's look at Mao Zedong's fate through the lens of ancient Chinese fortune-telling. Well, he didn't have a lucky fate. So, how important was his work? Compared to him, I feel much better. My tasks are pretty small: making ends meet, dealing with chalk dust, and being a teacher. Here I am again today, doing my teaching gig, right? I know deep down that I need to finish today's tasks diligently, so I can kick back, have a drink, and listen to music in the evening. Tomorrow, I'll tackle tomorrow's work, knowing that there will come a time when everything's done. When that happens, I can retire. What will I gain? A rare sense of contentment in life. Did Mao Zedong achieve that contentment? Nope. It's like what Buddhism says about rising above worldly desires and concerns. We gotta do what we gotta do, but we shouldn't get too attached. Not being attached doesn't mean not taking things seriously, but rather not caring too much about the outcome and secretly hoping it won't matter in the end. Zen Buddhism really gets Buddhism, you know? They call it keeping your mind free while still being in the world. There are things that you can't just say no to. How can you turn down something that you're supposed to do? You just gotta take it on and get it done. Why? It's all about getting rid of bad karma. Don't get too attached, don't worry about the outcome. That's what they mean by keeping your mind free. So, there's this Zen master who said something pretty cool that really inspired his followers. What did he say? He said, I eat all day long, but I never really sink my teeth into a single grain of rice. I dress all day long, but I never put on a strand of cotton fiber. What does that mean? Well, it means that I don't have to eat a specific thing to feel satisfied. It's not about biting into a grain of rice. I don't have to wear fancy clothes to feel dressed up. It's not about putting on strands of cotton fiber. So, we got these three ideas, right? Confucianism is all about doing without getting too attached, Taoism is about doing without any specific intention, and Buddhism is about doing without a selfish mindset. And when you blend all these together, you arrive at the core of Songming Neo-Confucianism, a philosophy popular during the Song and Ming dynasties, with scholars like Lu Xiangshan, 12th century CE, and Wang Yangming, 16th century CE, leading the way. Anyway, we've covered a lot today. Let's take a break and recharge. We still have plenty of time to delve deeper into this topic.